right. Yes, perfect. Uh, Hello, Boris.
Oh, how are you?
Very well. How are you?
Fine. I see your movie. It's very great.
Thank you, friend. Appreciate it.
I will have approximately 14 questions and we have 15 minutes.
Okay,
Uh,
let's go
are
for it.
you ready?
I'm ready, man.
Perfect.
Ready.
Hello, Chad. You have played on a lot of great series as Smallville, The 44,000, CSI Miami, CSI New York, Cold Case. Please, can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my name is Chad Faust. I wrote and directed the film Girl. And it's my first film as a writer director, first feature. I wrote and produced a couple of things before this, but this was my maiden voyage as at the helm.
Can you tell us about your filming? Why did you shoot this movie?
We shot it in Sudbury, Ontario. I guess, gosh, exactly a year ago we were shooting. Took a while to get through post, but and of course, doing post production in a pandemic was unique, so it took us a little bit longer. But fortunately, the film's coming out now, and it seems to be landing on its feet, which we're grateful for.
What should good acting directing be for you? What can you tell us about your work with Bella Thorne and Mickey Rourke?
Yeah, it was, like, when I first cast Bella, it was, actually a couple of years. We first talked about 2 years before, and then a lot of our discussions was just leading up to the shoot. We didn't have to. I didn't have to direct her a lot on set because we'd had so many conversations, and she really deeply understood the character, possibly more than I did, and I wrote it. So a lot of it was just kind of allowing her to kind of bring her story to the role. And I thought she did that so beautifully and courageously and skillfully. I mean, working with her actually was wonderful in the sense that she's like a word for word actor. She said every single word I wrote and understood the rhythms and tempos, which for me is so important. And I think so rare that people actually, understand that and honor that. She did a beautiful job of working with Mickey was so short. He was, I think, in and out in like 2.5 days. We had him for such a short period of time, and it was, he walks on and he takes control, and it was a lot of fun just to kind of let him be Mickey Rourke, And I think the fact of just kind of letting him take power allowed that character to actually have a greater power than had I been guiding him to some idea of it, Mm-hmm. And both those characters, as soon as I cast both of them, I knew what the movie was going to be. It was going to be a much more honest, kind of stripped revelation of these characters rather than some sort of like heightened put on film, which had I cast people that were much further from the roles, I would have had to kind of discover these people. But with them, it was an unveiling.
What can you tell us about your character Charmer in this movie?
Yeah, so I ended up playing, Mickey Rourke's brother in the film, which I wasn't originally going to do. We were going to cast someone else, and then with the Canadian content rules and everything, it ended up making sense for me to play the role. But more so, I was actually really grateful to get to do it. One, because as a director, I get to sort of direct from inside the scene, on a DNA tempo level. I get to kind of be in there, working inside out. But secondly, I was really terrified that role might be played superficially, as this sort of obnoxious sociopath who thinks he's wonderful. And I really didn't want that. I wanted him to be much more multi-layered than that. I wanted him to be vulnerable and actually, that we actually might believe at one point he's a good thing for her. And then of course it becomes something quite different. But I just never wanted any of the characters to be played as one thing. I wanted it to be this slow revelation. You think they're one thing, and then you discover them to be much more multifaceted.
Can we say that your past as an actor helped you to become a better director?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I think every director should embarrass themselves in acting class for a year. Certainly, it's essential. And also, I think you don't get a lot of opportunity as a director to practice working with actors. Maybe if you're working in TV, you'd get more opportunity, but As a filmmaker, it's kind of, you know, you're on set for 1 month or 2 months, like every 2 years, you know, so it's just not a lot of chance. But as an actor, that's for me, my safety net. Every time I got to work with the actors, it was like coming home. So I felt so blessed in that way.
What were your main sources of inspiration to create this movie? Some books, some other movies?
Yeah, gosh, mostly like the American films of the 1970s, you know, the Deer Hunter and Coming Home, Five Easy Pieces, you know, even into the 80s with like Tender Mercies and Ordinary People. Those films greatly inspired me in that they were these revelations of character in this sort of stripped, simple, raw way. And they were trying to, I think they were trying to get to the truth through all of the lies during that Vietnam era, you know. And I think we feel like we're in a similar place right now where we don't, you know, we're certainly past the age of information into the age of misinformation. And I think we're feeling that same thing today. And that's why those films maybe speak to me. And I wanted to kind of bring some of that to her story as she learns that the story she's been basing her life on is not true.
On this movie, some characters don't have a name. We have Girl, Sheriff, and your character, Summer. Please, can you explain why this character I don't have a name?
Yeah, that was very intentional in that I wanted the audience to be sutured into her subjective experience. You know, she is entering this town with all these assumptions about who these people are and what her story is. It's a very black and white, young, immature kind of view. And as the movie goes along, I'm hoping that the audience starts to see everything in Technicolor, just as she is. Everything becomes much more graded with gray than we think it was. And these people become three-dimensional, and they become a subversion of the archetype we thought them to be. You know, they are not just the sheriff, the charmer, the bard. You know, they're people. And so it was about starting from a position of assumption, just as she is, and hopefully by the end the audience is on the same path of her of discovering things to be more complex.
After two short movies, Baby Bleed and Oh God, this is your first movie. How it is difficult to pass from a short format to a long format?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, I mean, I think as a writer, I've been writing in the long format for some time. So from a storytelling perspective, that was, I think I'd kind of already made that transition. But as a director, I think it's more just what can work in a short film. You can go with in a short film, you can embrace a much more wild conceit, I think, than you can in a long form. Because, you know, for example, making a short film in black and white, I think works really, really well. Doing that in a feature is a much bolder statement, and you know, one that I think needs further justification. You know, because you're asking the audience to spend a lot more time inside your idea, and I think that idea better be worth the choice. You know, so I think it's that, and it's also, you know, you have to hold an audience for a lot longer, and that requires a lot more complex character and greater empathy for them.
What do you think are the main key to create a good trailer?
Sorry, say it one more time, Boris.
Sorry, what is for you the main keys to create a good trailer?
Oh, good trailer.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure my dream originally, for example, for this film was that they wouldn't reveal like the big plot points, but I think that's already, that cat is out of the bag for that one. So hopefully it's not revealing too much. So often I think when you watch a trailer, you've seen the movie and you don't need to go and watch the whole thing. So I think mystery for me is the greatest ingredient to pull you in, because I think that's the greatest thing that captures our imagination. So I would say telling the audience the exact right amount.
What were the main difficulties encountered during the making of this movie?
Sorry, one more time, Boris?
Sorry, what were the main difficulties that you have met during the production of this movie?
Yeah, I suppose it was the limitations, and we didn't have a lot of money, you know, so we had to do a lot with a little, and that, you know, daily budget meetings of compromise were so difficult, you know. but also, I mean, essential, you know, for a film like this, but also became a vehicle for innovation because I had to come up with new ideas. You know, for example, the hamster in the ball only came up because we couldn't afford a cat. And it ends up becoming one of my favorite moments in the movie. One of the producers threw it out almost as a joke originally, and then it was kind of this moment of like, no, but seriously, what if it was a hamster in a ball? You know, that became, you know, that becomes gold.
What was the most difficult scene for you to shoot in this movie?
In some ways, the action scenes were difficult simply because of, again, our limitations of time. We had a great stunt coordinator, Don Stockford, who did a beautiful job, but we needed twice as much time to really do what I wanted to do. And as a result, I sometimes wish I'd had more angles to shoot, you know, to edit those action sequences. And, you know, if I get a chance to do that again, I would definitely just try to give myself twice the days for those moments. Yeah, I'd say those pieces.
Who are your favorite directors, in which film are the main driving force behind your artistic creation?
You know, I'm a big fan of like Robert Redford's films that he directed, like Ordinary People, which actually won Best Picture the year I was born. I can't ever stop thinking about that film. It haunts me, the familial honesty that came out of that film. P.T. Anderson, I think, is just you know, he's a genius, that man. And David O. Russell, Aronofsky, these guys really inspire me just with how they've evolved cinema. And, you know, so I definitely standing on the shoulders of these people. You know?
Do you have any French actors that you would like to work with?
Oh, yeah. Actually, the film Sidecar that I wrote and produced, we almost had Melanie Laurent.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was about to join us, and then I can't remember what happened. And I'm a big fan of hers. I think she's wonderful. And then also, what's her name? Oh, actually, you know, who I originally, long before Bella came on board, before I even met her, I had approached Adele Exarchopoulos.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I had approached her for this role, actually. And I thought it'd be interesting to bring a French actress into this very Americana story.
Yes.
It was right after she had done Blue is the Warmest Color. So, you know, I think those two women in particular. I mean, you have so many great artists and filmmakers and actors. I mean, just it's a wealth. I was actually just there in Paris. I spent my birthday is Bastille Day, and I was there for July 14th.
Nice. And my last question, please: which are your current projects as an actor or director?
Yeah, like upcoming projects.
Yeah.
The next film I'm gonna make is called Ballistic, and it's about a father who works at an ammunition manufacturing company who finds out he made the bullet that killed his son, and it's really all about the repercussions of what we put out into the world and how everything is cyclical. Everything comes back to us, you know. And then I'm developing a TV show as well called The Last Animal.
Thank you, Chad. Have a great day. Bye-bye.